The headlines, the issues impacting you, all on This Week in Cincinnati on 9 on Your Side.
Welcome back to This Week in Cincinnati. I'm Craig McKee. More than 43,000 students go to the University of Cincinnati. There are thousands more professors, doctors, administrators, and staff there on campus. And Police Chief Herold is in charge of keeping everyone safe. She became police chief in January after serving as assistant chief and acting chief. Among the challenges she faces as UC's police chief, making changes in the wake of the shooting by former UC police officer Ray Tenzing that killed Sam DuBose.
There's 276 recommendations. I agree with every one of them. And we've accomplished probably over 60% of those recommendations thus far. We will accomplish the rest of those recommendations.
Chief Herold is also a 20-year veteran of the Cincinnati Police Force and served as commander of District 4. She is the University of Cincinnati's first female police officer, police chief, really. With us now, Chief Herold, thank you so much for being here. What does that say that you are the first woman to hold this post as chief?
Well, it's an honor for me, and I think that the University of Cincinnati took a bold step by hiring me, and I'm just really proud to be the first female chief.
Well, you certainly have the resume. I mean, 20 years on the force with Cincinnati PD. How does that work with CPD? Because obviously, as an officer, in this case, a chief of police, how does that differ though on a university campus compared to what you did in Cincinnati with CPD? That's
a great question. So, you know, I have this unique perspective. As a District 4 commander, I commanded the east side of the University of Cincinnati's campus. And we worked very well with the University of Cincinnati, the police department at the time. But the University of Cincinnati Police Division is so much more service-oriented. And we do all kinds of things that I did not know at the time, that we just provide this unbelievable level of service to students, faculty, and staff. So that differs a lot from urban policing.
It's a different interaction.
Definitely a different interaction.
As part of these reform recommendations, 276 that you mentioned there, you say 60% of them. One thing that came out of the reform, there were 6 principles: transparency, legitimacy, accountability, fairness, collaboration, and innovation. Officers also started carrying tasers again as part of this. What has, I guess, the top things that have changed that you think have made the biggest difference, the way your officers are doing their job now, and then what still needs to be done? When you talk about 60% accomplished, there's still 40% of these items that still need to be implemented.
Sure. So we're technically right now at about 70%.
Okay.
There was 276 general recommendations, 13 substantial areas that we needed improvement. But if I'd have to pick like 4 of the areas that we're really honed in on: training, accountability measures like you mentioned before, improving technology, and recruiting and hiring. And so that's what we're really focused in on. Like I said before, we finished about 191 of those recommendations, and the big ones that we're going to focus on, that we have been working on, that will take us into the next couple months, is recruiting and hiring. It's no secret the University of Cincinnati Police Division is lacking diversity, and so we're really working hard to improve those numbers in the next few months.
Okay, and you can actually see on the bottom of your screen right now the web address you can go to if you're interested in becoming a member of the University of Cincinnati Police Department. One of the things that had changed as well after the Sam DuBose incident, the Ray Tenzing incident, the number of traffic citations written, the number of traffic stops, that whole process changed. I guess somebody could look at the data, if you look at these numbers and say, you know, there are fewer traffic stops, fewer citations. Isn't it more than just saying we're not going to pull over as many people, we're not going to have as many citations issue? Because I guess you can look at the numbers and say, look, we have fewer numbers, we're not doing what we did before, but it goes beyond the numbers with what you're truly doing on the sidewalks and your interaction with people on campus. Yeah,
the whole policing strategy has changed since that incident. My primary work with the city was the collaborative agreement and problem solving. And so I think one of the reasons I was selected is I bring that wealth of experience about problem solving and data-driven policing strategies to UC. And we have been working diligently on that. And I think it changes the way the police officers interact with the community. They understand the data, they understand the problems, they understand the trends, and they understand their role as a customer service-driven agency. And that is the strategy, and that is discussed in roll calls, and it is discussed among command officers. You know, Craig, we just hired our first crime analyst, and this is so innovative for UC to have our own crime analyst. It's improving our analytical capabilities, and so this is just another big piece of the puzzle that we're putting together.
Does predictive analysis come into play then for that?
Sure, absolutely. Predictive analysis, but more than anything, it's collaboration with the community to understand these problems, respond accordingly with tailored responses, and to assess what we did, was it successful?
Right.
If it wasn't successful, let's not do it again, or let's do it better. The community responds to that.
Our community has obviously a major opioid epidemic going on. What are your officers seeing? You know, we cover stories of overdoses in parking lots and all that stuff outside of the university. It doesn't seem like a big headline on campus. Are you seeing the heroin epidemic play out on campus? You
know, I looked at our numbers over the past 2 years, and we have, I don't think in the last 2 years we've had any heroin recoveries by our officers. I'm not naive to think that there probably is some heroin on the outskirts of our university. But as far as on campus and the surrounding streets, we just have not seen it. And I really think that's, we have a lot of eyes and ears on the campus, but I do not think that heroin is being used by the UC community. I just don't see it. There's no indication of that.
Do your officers carry Narcan?
Yes, we do.
You do? Okay.
We do.
What is your biggest obstacle? We have about 60 seconds left. What is your biggest obstacle, your biggest hurdle now that you are police chief to change still at UC?
Well, we're going to finish out the rest of these executive recommendations. There's some big technology pieces that we're still lacking that I'm sure that we'll get to.
Are those like metal detectors and things like that? Or
No. These are more data-driven technologies that we're looking at just to improve our strategies and our deployment strategy.
Okay.
But then I would say we have to increase the number of officers from underrepresented groups. That has to be a priority. We continually have to search, you know, for different strategies that work effectively with the community. We have to build upon the trust that we have been given. Right. I want to continue to work with the Community Advisory Council. They just bring a wealth of a different perspective and accountability for our police division, and we're doing really good work with them. So those would be my goals moving forward.
All right. Well, UC Police Chief Maris Herold, thank you so much for giving
Craig.
us some time today, giving us an update on what's going on.
Thanks.
Again, you can go back, rewind on your DVR and go check out the URL. I'll tweet it out as well just to make sure you have the web link to go to if you are interested in joining the force.
Thanks a lot.
All right.